I would really want this to be an interactive session. I do not want this to be a monologue at all. So keep asking me questions. Based on your questions only, I'll be able to frame, and guide you better in whatever capacity I can, right? So, I'll give you a quick background, as Akash mentioned, so that it will help set the context as well. I graduated from Sriram College in 2017, Delhi University. And I think, I have always been very, very curious by nature, and, tried to do several things across the 3 years in my college, right? And I think shedding light on college life would be better for you guys to maybe understand. So, say in the first year of college, I was very inclined towards finance, right? And I was a lot into stock markets. I participated in like at least 20 mock stocks. So mock stocks are nothing but stock market simulation events that happen in colleges. So mock stock, competitions, and I organized a few of them myself in SRCC. So we have several societies, and I'm sure your colleges would also have them, right? Student clubs. And then, I was part of like 5 other student clubs, just like, finance society. So I think I gained a lot of exposure. I also started social entrepreneurship society with my seniors called Connecting Dreams Foundation in my first year, where we were enabling women in the villages near Ghaziabad, near Delhi, to build a sustainable income, basically, right? Through selling papad. So we were just helping them set up an organization and then, just convert them into women entrepreneurs so that they can scale on their own after that, right? So provide that initial setup of all the machinery, of all the distribution channel. So I think that really gave me a good insight into business as well in the first year. And I started attending a lot of startup events in my first year of college, which made me actually realize that finance is just one area of interest for me. But broadly, everything in business excites me, right? Like, the very thing of setting up a problem statement to start with, like we did in the case of women who were not able to earn and, hence were facing, domestic violence and whatnot in the villages. So, that was a problem statement we started with, and, build an entire business model around it. So that was like the start. And, so I wanted to build something. And then what I realized is, there are tons of companies who are, building products for the youth market. But since they don't understand the customer that well, so I started a startup, end of first year, where we used to help a lot of companies market among the youth, both online and offline. So it was like a youth marketing agency, which covered digital marketing, which covered offline campaigns. So I worked with, more than like 20 brands, helping them get into the college. But then I realized, I had started a services company. So I quickly pivoted after a year, like I moved on to build another startup, which was more product based and I thought more scalable, but again, pretty operations intensive. So I was building like a daily delivery of grocery, right? Something like, like Big Basket is now running BB Daily. So I was building something like that. This is, during 2016 when Big Basket has also just started out in this Delhi. Where I belong to. So I belong to Delhi and born and brought up here. So I think good experiences across college into startups. I also did an internship in private equity in second year of my college. I did tons of courses. I completed CFP, which is like a certified financial professional, because personally I was interested into personal finance. No other reason. Probably it was out of my personal curiosity that I did that course. Did a lot of NCFM courses, so we'll cover it in next steps when I tell you what all you can do. But that's basically my background in depth during college. Then post college, I got placed with Bain and Company, which is one of the top 3 consulting firms in the world. If you would know Embibe, right? McKinsey, Bain, BC. So great experience, great set of people. The best thing is that you find the best set of people from the country joining in to work with you, and that's so in the end what matters is basically the people you are working around with, right? Working with basically. So that's I worked there for a year, And then I really wanted to, I was itching to go back to the startup ecosystem, to say the least. And then I met Aditi, who's a CEO at Embibe. So I joined a edtech company, an education technology company called Embibe in Bangalore. And, working closely with the CEO, helping scale the company from like around 70-ish people to 500 people. Almost a 10x growth, we did, not just in number of people, but in terms of, the number of institutes, the revenue and everything scaled pretty well. So it was a good way to see a hyper growth stage of a company. So I did that, worked across several roles there. Currently, for example, I'm working on a couple of my own ideas, trying to build something ground up. That's what excites me. So that's my background in brief. Hope that helps. I would love to hear.
That's really amazing, Harry. And it's you have done a lot in just in the last 4 to 5 years. But you being in that market, where you have you have not just passed out maybe 7-8 years back, but 2 to 3 years back. What do you think are the skill sets that are required today to get into a good, let's say, a good internship or a good job, and at the same time, what are the basics? Because now everyone will have their own industry that they want to join into, but then those basic skills that are required in today's job market.
No, that's a good question, right? So that's a good way of thinking, that what are the skills required, and maybe we can backtrack and build those skills. But I would say, I am someone who thinks very, very first principles, right? In a first principles way, and that's what everybody should do. So versus thinking probably what we should aim at, just start from what do you really want, right? Like, so that's fine if you don't know what you want in the first or second year of your college. So I'll just scroll down to see what are people really doing here. So I think, yeah, everybody is from like, first or second year probably. So basically, like you mentioned, right? So in terms of the skill set, I think from a student angle, the only thing which companies seek if you are seeking an internship or a job, after college, is basically curiosity, right? Like, do you have the curiosity to learn? And if you have that, of course, in the 3 years of college, you would have learned a lot, right? So have you picked analytical skills? Like, have you, worked on solving hard problems, right? Or do you pick easy problems? It's something, for example, I see, right? I ask people if they've tried to do something unconventional. And not everybody has to do it. I'm just saying that that's an advice I have personally, that try to do something different from the crowd if you can. Right? And that also means doing everything that others are doing, but standing out, in whatever you do. So I think one important skill is like standing out, right? And then, of course, through the 3 years of college, you should try and build certain leadership skills. Right, so like I told, in the first year itself, I was, heading some events, stock market events. Then second year of college, I was building my startup. I had recruited like more than 50 campus ambassadors, or even more, throughout campuses in India. So leading that entire team while being in college. And then also in my third year, I missed this, but I organized a global millennium summit, which was, a global summit, India's first global summit organized entirely by students, right? So we did a summit in Dubai, and we saw registrations coming in from 90 plus countries. So that is something we did, and that required me to organize an event in Dubai when everybody was doing it only in their respective colleges in India. So that was a Herculean task, but we somehow did it, and that went pretty well. So that was a crazy experience, again leading like more than 50 people and managing hospitality for students across the world, right? So I think so some position of responsibility is important to be taken during the 3 years, right? And then of course certain, I think, fundamental skills like being able to sell yourself and sell anything, right? So ability to communicate, of course, right? Then ability to write well. So in terms of skills, again, Akash, I think I can go on mentioning the important skills people should have. But to summarize quickly, so obviously this is all, like I'm just going impromptu, whatever is coming in my mind, right? But to try and structure it, it should be, communication skills are very, very important. Then leadership skills are very, very important. Teamwork is very important, right? You can't do anything alone. So leadership ke saath in the first year of your college is like, how can you, so when you are in the first year, how can you have an impression in the team that you are the best team player, right? And then you can become the best leader ultimately when you get into second or third year of college. So I think that's a lot important. Then picking skills like, writing skills and, so basically, of course, now it depends a lot. So if you are interested in finance, somebody saying how to start learning about stock market, I think that's not the topic of the discussion, but now you are asking how to start learning. Have you just Googled it, right? I frankly do not like that questions when the questions are so basic, right? If you just Google that, learn basics about stock markets, you will get tons of YouTube videos for free. Of course, you have to go through some to understand that, what is it, what is a credible source, right? Because there's a lot of content out there. So then you can refer to maybe NCFM by NSC. I'm just mentioning since he asked for the stock market things, he or she. So Varsity is another platform which you can check. So these are two things which can give you a good, credible resource to learn about stock markets. But basically, being curious would help you Google things and understanding, right? And then talk to a lot of people. So like this is a very generic, session, but you should talk to people specifically, like if you want to understand stock markets. By the way, I also run a lot of, individual communities, and Augustine knows about it, like into consulting, into stock markets, individual communities. So if you want to get into those, you can ask Augustine and he can redirect you to me. And basically, so there, individually you would know, right, like what to pursue. So example, if you want to learn finance, right, so two sources I mentioned. Then Investopedia is another source, right? So you have to explore. So yeah, I think that's broadly it on the, skills aspect.
That's really amazing, Harry. Yes, HR. I'm so sorry. I'm not able to see your name. You can actually go and change your name. Going to the profile option. So as Harry mentioned, there are many groups out there. There's a group that I can help you join, and it's where Chatpod is helping you to connect with both good content with respect to stock market, and at the same time we also have a lot of mentor sessions on stock market. So I think you can join, and maybe by the end of the session I'll share my number and you can just contact me with respect to that. Yes, now I don't want to move too far from this topic, which is how to prepare yourself for the real world job market. So Harry, now you had mentioned that there are a lot of things that you can do during your college time to kind of build those skill sets and everything. But for instance, when I was in college, it was very difficult for me to try to understand what am I really passionate about, or what would I be doing as a long time career. That kind of took a long time for me. How can I'm not telling a way to fast track that process, but how do you think you can actually work on that aspect?
Sure. I think a lot of students would have that question, I'm sure. So like I said before, none of us really in our first year of college know what we are meant to do, right? So there's this principle called Ikigai. I've just mentioned it below, so you can read in detail on Google, right? Which basically says that, you should work, and I really, really advocate this, that you should work at the intersection of what you are passionate about, right? Like something which you really like, but say you like playing guitar, but that's not necessarily the career that you would pick, right? So because it has to be the intersection of what you really are passionate about, what the market really needs, right? Like what are the fundamental needs of the market today and tomorrow, right? You need to prepare. If you are in first year of college, you have to think what will be the job opportunities that will exist 5 years hence, right? So what is that the market needs? What is it that the market can pay you for, which is very important, right? Like which are the skills? So there are a lot of things that the market also needs, but then you also need to make money and sustain yourself. So what is it that the market needs? And the fourth quadrant, the circle is basically that what is it that you are good at, right? Because you can like a lot of things, the market might pay you for a lot of things, but in the end you have to be good in something, right? So the goal, I think, for any college student should to become a T-shaped generalist. I know I'm throwing some jargon here, but these are very, very important, and I highly suggest you to Google these and read more about them. Is basically, like I mentioned before, the skill set, right? Like teamwork, leadership, analytical skills. Pick up all these skills during college, right? And to do that, we'll come to how you can do that. Broadly, I've suggested, but then also try and build expertise in one thing. Like you should be really, really good in something that others can't beat you at, right? It has to be like today it's about being jack of all and master of one, right? So that's very, very important. And since your question was around the passion part, right? So I would highly recommend like what I did. I did a ton of courses on finance. I did some internship in finance in my end of first year also. Then I did similar. I worked on my own startup. I worked with some other startups, right? Then I also read a lot about marketing because marketing really interested me again. Some courses. So the only class I think I attended in the 3 years in college was around marketing in my first year because the teacher was awesome. Unfortunately, not a lot of teachers are, or the syllabus is, right, around BCom honors. But the only session I attended was, real case studies around marketing. So I read a lot into marketing, and frankly, everything is available out there, right? So, just to structure this, so there are some courses that you can take up, then there are internships that you can do, then there are research papers you can write. So I didn't cover initially, but I wrote a lot of research. Not a lot of research papers, but I wrote one research paper extensively during college. So I took that experience also. And all these points that I am covering are great for your resume as well, because obviously you need to sell yourself and you need to have certain. So do not aim for having certificates. Very frankly, once you go out there in the job market, nobody really asks you for the certificate. It's all about how you can perform in that half an hour or 1 hour interview. If you're interviewing with me today, I'll just ask you what are you best at and maybe grill you on that. So, basically the idea is even if you do one thing, do it well, right? And do not spread your legs too thin. At the same time, I think how you can approach is it like multiple things for every 6 months of college. So if the college is of say 3 years, then assume you need to do 6 month internships in a way, or courses, right? Like try your hands at different things, and so if you really like something, then go deep into it. So I think that's how your approach should be. And courses, internships, research papers, then you can for sure take up some social work that adds to your resume, and you learn a lot as well, right? Like you learn how so one of the most important things I learned during my social entrepreneurship time is that you never give anything for free to anyone. Now that might sound like a very small line, but that has a lot of impact, right? So for example, if you are doing some social work and you think you will donate to someone, I think that's a bad idea, to be very frank. Unless you cannot make them an entrepreneur, you may want to donate. But frankly, if I had an option, so what I would do is, if I am giving 50 rupees to someone, I will also get them to put in their 10 rupees. Because if somebody adds their own as their own skin, has their own skin into the game, they will perform better, right? So the initiative I was talking to you about, so we also made the women in villages to pool some money and put in, because once their money is put in, they will have more skin in the game and they will be more motivated to get a return on it, versus us just going ahead and helping them out and giving all the money. So that is on the social angle. And then the last part would be, I think, competitions, not the last part, sorry. So there will be like a positions of responsibility that you need to take in college, right? So you need to lead, show leadership skills. So you need to really lead some societies, a bunch of 30-40 students, whether it is a marketing society, a finance society, a human resource society. So like Augustine took this initiative right over here to help all of you come to this session and maybe understand, right? So all of you can take such initiatives, right? And like happy to guide more, but I think broadly taking up some position of responsibility is important. Organizing fest again sounds like a small task, but not a small task by the way, but like not maybe an attractive thing to do in college. But like when you organize a fest, right, from organizing to calling speakers to hospitality to the entire competitions and sponsorship and whatnot, you tend to learn a lot. And very frankly, people who have done this in college are doing really really well after college. And the students who have attended only classes in college, so sorry, I'm not suggesting you to not attend classes, but frankly, I didn't do a lot of them. And very frankly, at least in Delhi University, like you don't really learn a lot inside the classes, but a lot outside the classes. But then you have to have a self motivation to learn and do things outside college and not go for like frequent tours around the city with friends, right? So basically that's an important part. And the last thing I think, just to sort of, and I'm writing it down in the comments below for your benefit, is basically there are some level of competitions and conferences that happen, and there are certain conferences by the way which are fully sponsored, right? And these are global conferences. So a friend of mine has traveled to more than 10 countries, a very close friend of mine, all free of cost, right? Without paying a buck, because he applied. So there are certain websites I can tell you about. I really wish somebody did tell this up to me in college, but they didn't. So there are certain websites like Youth Hop, right? And why can't I remember the other names? So just let me just search if I have them written. No, I don't. So probably I can share later. But Youth Hop, for example, is one great site to explore global conferences which are free of cost if you get selected. But it's all about how do you sell yourself, right? So in the first place, the first 2 years of college, you have to get tons of experience so that you can apply to these conferences and get through. But I think that's broadly, like, I think Akash, that's helpful. I've written it down below on what all things you can do. And of course, now we can deep dive maybe in any of these according to the questions that people have. So what I'm seeing is 40 people are online, but hardly any questions.
Yes, very true, Harry. We have a lot of questions that are coming in, and the last question that I have from my side before going to the audience, and I feel this is a very important question also, right? Especially in today's world, networking plays a huge role in in the job market, especially because a person like me got my first job because of the fact that I networked myself. I was networking. So how do you think one can start networking and using platforms like LinkedIn and and other networking platforms to get themselves a job in today's market?
Okay, great question. So I think networking is important, though I would say two things about networking, right? And I'll just write down also for the sake of it. Is it should be purposeful. It should not be open-ended. Like, of course, in the first year, maybe you would want to go to events and talk to people, but try to have some purpose, right? So your purpose could be taking an internship. Your purpose could be learning about somebody's company. Your purpose could be learning about an industry, anything, right? But randomly going and meeting people, it's better that you have some context, right? That this is what I am currently doing, this is what I am looking for, so people can also really help you, right? So I see a lot of messages, for example, on LinkedIn, which say, like, hi, how are you? Hi, I'm looking for a mentor. Hi, can you help me get an internship? Dude, like, you really think people who are working have ton of time to like guide you on such open-ended questions, right? Like, you have to really be purposeful and specific, right? So you need to clearly state your objective, that hi, I am interested in an internship in finance. I have read on Google contains different fields. Finance is very broad. Never say I want an internship in finance. say finance has stock markets, finance has derivatives, finance has, like investment banking, financial modeling. There are 10 things under finance. So I want an internship in. I am exploring this field, and probably between these two fields, I'm planning to do an intern. Can you help me? And then go through the profile before. So how can a person help you? For example, how can I help you get a finance internship? For example, so you should tell me that. You should help me. You should guide me that you interned at this finance company. Can you help me connect to the founder of that company, or your boss there? Could you refer me there? So basically, try and be very, very specific in your request, right? So be purposeful, be specific, and be shameless, I would say. So a very, very important thing to note is, if somebody is not replying to you, give them the benefit of doubt. Don't think they are not replying. Think they are busy, even if they're not, right? So that helps you a lot, right? Be very empathetic to the other person. Be very humble. So always approach someone with utmost humility and tell them, maybe you missed my previous message. So after 1 day of dropping the message, 2 days, give them 2 days to reply. If they don't, drop a message. Maybe you missed the message. Will be great to hear back from you. After another 2-3 days, you can drop them another message. He was really looking forward to hearing from you and taking this help. And all this after you have given a specific reason, not after hi, how are you? Okay, so basically, after you give the specific reason, then be shameless in following up. You have to follow up, right? For example, while I was in college, people, if they don't reply in first go, a lot of people really do not message after that, right? So that's the trick. How much do you want it, right? How eager are you to hear back from that person?
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah, Akash.
Yes, Harry. I mean, those are really, really amazing points, because all these are, as you said, in a way, like you do it and you just keep trying, and if you're lucky, that person is there to help you. Else, again, you have. The number of people out there is huge, and you might find that one person who's ready to help you and guide you. So it's about trying your best to find that one person, and yes, trying to make sure that that connect is a long-term connect, it's a short-term connect. That's some really amazing points, Harry. And now I'm going to some of the questions which are asked by the audience. So one of the questions asked by, I think, Arsh Jain, which is, what kind of internship should I look for? I'm interested in investment banking.
Okay. So again, that sounds like a very uninformed question, to be honest. So what kind of internships? What do you really mean, right? Like, if you want to get into investment banking, okay, fair enough. That's a fair question from one angle. Is basically that, what are the skills that are required in investment banking? Just think, what will people look for, right? They will want you to be super sharp, super analytical, be very, very strong with numbers, right? And basically good with understanding business as well, right? Because in the end, investment bankers, they sell businesses ahead, right? So basically, what you need to really pick up is strong business skills and strong analytical skills. So the internships that would be helpful are, if you can learn financial modeling somewhere, for example, right? Or you can go intern with an investment bank, or you go intern with an investment bank boutique. So there are a lot of investment boutiques out there, right? So boutiques, basically, they are nothing but small firms. So versus, say, a Citibank or a Deutsche Bank, there will be these small boutiques, like Spark Capital, or stuff like those, Faber Capital and stuff. So maybe you can go intern with them. They will help you understand the space better.
Yeah, that's very true, Harry. The first point which you told, it's again, investment banking is a very, very broad term. I worked in the investment banking field. There is there are people who work on things like risk management. There are financial risk management. There are people who are working on daily P&Ls, that is profit and
Correct,
loss.
correct. But the typical investment banking job of an analyst is basically like an analyst at an investment bank or an associate in investment bank is basically working on deals. So if it is a sell side investment bank, which they usually are, right, they will help companies raise money through IPOs or sell debt to a company and so on. So that jobs really require you to know financial modeling in and out.
Yeah, that's very true, Harry. And again, all these you need to kind of identify doing again. So it's very difficult to find whether you're interested in those things until and unless you kind of try it and see whether you
Correct.
like it. And that's why
Correct.
during your college it's the perfect time to kind of explore. So yes, that's a good question.
Okay, I can see more questions here. Let's quickly cover the
So,
questions.
how
I
do
also
I-
have to be. Let me just take up the questions which I find relevant. Okay, Akash. What kind of internships? How did you get to manage an internship? Get an internship right after first year. Now, man, like if you want an internship, just look up what company you really like. So never intern. I've said this before. Never intern for a company. Try and intern with a person. Right? Find a person who's working in a company whom you really get inspiration from. Right? Like their work really inspires you. What they write, follow them on LinkedIn, follow them on Twitter. If they write really well and you really like their work, and you want to get experience in that, just write to them. Just make a gentle request, and I'm sure they will guide you. Another good hack, if you're looking for a hack, if you want to get into a particular company or get the attention of a particular founder. I'm not talking about large companies like Aditya Birla and Kotak Mahindra Bank and Hindustan Unilever. So on all those, there are a more structured programs. But say if you want to get into a startup at the end of your first year, of course, in the larger companies, usually it goes through references. Again, you need some jack. So if you need to get into a Kotak Mahindra Bank, you need to find somebody from your parents' contact or your friends' contacts or something who can get you an internship. But I say you will learn lesser there. You will learn more in a startup. So go work with like a Series A, Series B startup, and you can write to the founder, just like go through what they are doing, build a point of view on that, write an article on that, tag the founder on LinkedIn, and then you grab that person's attention, and then you can go ahead and apply for an internship there. So I think getting an internship is pretty easy. How do I prepare for an interview? Like, again, your resume, basically, first of all, a lot of people don't really make good resumes. Please make a very good resume. You can pick any template. A good template, like I had mentioned, is basically your educational qualifications, then your courses and stuff that you are doing, your positions of responsibility, and the extracurricular activities that you have done in school, college, wherever, right? So your resume should cover the most important things about you and not everything. Please note, it should not be more than one page. Okay, it should be very, very direct. It should only contain what's really, really important in your life. And the best way to prepare about for your interview is excel your resume, right? Like make sure you know anything and everything in and out, whatever you write. Don't write something on your resume which you can't talk about for half an hour, because in the end the good companies interview you on a one particular point in your resume. They end up doing that. So you should be very much in depth about any experience that you have done. Don't do anything just for the sake of certificates, please. Yeah, I think that's about that question. I'm currently studying BBA Finance. How to get an internship? I think a lot of people have asked how to get an internship. Augustine, is it clear so far? Augustine, are you there? You're on. You have to unmute yourself if you have to speak.
Hello,
Akash, is it?
It's clear, yeah.
Yes, he has mentioned it in the comment section. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. So the next question is again approach for internship. I think I've said multiple times. One is Jack. Other is being active on social media platforms. Okay. So if you want to know, for example, how to find startups where you can intern in, you should follow websites like Your Story, Tracker, or in these websites where you can learn about what are the new startups who are getting funded. You can read the Ken is a website which gives you great analysis into startups and the entire world. For finance, you can read, FinShots, or, Finimize, for global stories. And what else? I think I've sent these in the comments. So, you should just be open, basically, right? And like I said, youth hop for global conferences. Just keep exploring. Be very active on social media platforms like LinkedIn. But follow the right people, please. Do not get impressed by anyone's profile or anyone's writing. Like, if you can really relate to it, if you really think, not just relate to it, but if you think that person has really done something by themselves, they're self-learned, then you can approach them and ask how they did that. And yeah, so get mentors if possible, and not like, again, don't mention to anyone, I need mentorship. Be specific. What do you really want to learn, and then continue that engagement with that person. So ideally, a first year student should pick mentors from third year. A third year student should pick mentors. So try, I think one of the best practice could be pick someone who's 2 years elder to you, because he's just not 2 to 3 years, so that he or she has just not seen what you are going through, but also the next year and the next year, so that they know what mistakes they made, so that they can help you not make those mistakes as a mentor. Does that sound reasonable? Okay, I'll now, so since 15 minutes are left, I'll take questions from people sitting in case you have any questions.
Hello. Yeah.
Yeah, August.
Yes, Augustine.
It is saying that few people they used to engage in a lot of activities.
Sorry, Augustine. Can you be a bit more louder, because we're not able to.
Yeah, I can hear him.
Yeah.
Okay.
So few people tends to participate in lot of event just for the sake of getting some certificates or like something like that. So do you suggest to be very broader or to be very specific to some really specific organization, or broader? You have to choose be with every organization. What do you say about that?
No, I can understand. I think even in SRCC, a lot of people did that. So, like I told before, very frankly, certificates don't matter. Now, I am not saying you can't take part in multiple events. But then, like I said before, give your heart to all those events, right? Like, literally work damn hard for every event that you take part in, right? So, college is the time where you can experiment, where you can work hard, right? So, I would say, whatever events you take part in, go and basically, like, work very very hard in those, right? Like, Augustine, basically, hope that answers that. So I think that's a very obvious thing as well, right? Like, that do not take part in a lot of events where you can't put in your best. If you know that you can't manage your time that well, so very frankly, like, I was also taking part in 5 events in first year, but then I didn't attend a lot of classes, and after college I used to work really really hard to ensure that I am putting in 2 hours every day to each event, right? So either work hard or take up limited events that you can work hard, because in the end you need to learn out of it. And when you're putting on your resume, you need to be able to really tell that what you did in that, right? And it's not about just telling, but that entire experience, how it is adding value to you. Are you genuinely learning? Does that make sense, Augustine? Any other question? So there's a question by MV for coming up with a startup which is completely outside of. So Megashri, why don't you ask your question since you are seated?
You can double tap on your seat to. Yeah. Perfect.
Your voice is not coming through. Megashri, are you speaking? Maybe you can leave the seat and try again. Your voice is not coming through. Have you given microphone access? Okay. So seat 5, your voice is not coming through, Megashri. let me take up your question, right? So you're saying if you want to start something which you are interested in, but which is completely out of the educational field, of course, I would suggest moving forward. Absolutely, right? Education field has nothing to relate to, what your ideas are. And very frankly, don't go after the ideas. Okay. So I think startups was also one theme. So never chase ideas, guys, right? Like always be, what is the problem that you are trying to solve? Just figure that out. And if you have deep insights in that problem, I'm just writing it down as well. So basically, the idea is if you know somebody's problem in depth, right? So for example, if you have an idea that I want to today start online dance classes because in COVID nobody is going to a studio, I will teach dance online. So then you think, how would you evaluate it, right? Now a lot of the people have these ideas, right? Tons of people, but have you spoken to 10 people who want to learn dance? Do you know, do they want to learn dance on mobile, on laptop, on what device will they access the class? Whom do they want to learn dance from? Do they want to learn it from like the best in the country, or do they want to learn it from someone whom they can relate to and is 1 year elder to them? Right? So there are tons of things before starting a dance class that you would want to know from the people who want to do them. So understand your customers very, very well and then start something. So as long as you understand the problem and your customer well, Megashri, I don't think any domain is out of reach. But unless you understand these two deeply, I think starting off is a bad idea. With just an idea. Any other questions from people seated? Keshav, Man, Nashita.
Uh,
So basically, Megashri has a follow-up question here. So Megashri, like if you understand the problem, first of all, a lot of people feel they do, but you really don't do. So try and do a lot of customer research. Then when you want to start, so the next step has to be competitor research. See what the other players in the market are doing and what you can do better than them. See, don't just start something for the sake of it. Like now you understand, say, you need to, the same example, right? That you need to organize dance classes. So next what you would do is that you would study who are the other players offering dance classes. For example, Cult.fit is offering. Can you do it better than them? Why are people not doing it with them? Right? The people that you spoke to, ask them the same question. That there are tons of players who are already doing online. Why are you not doing it with them? So figure out if there is some need, some problem that others are not solving. So that has to be your next step. And then the next step will be building an MVP. And it's fine if other players are doing it. If you believe you can do it better than them and scale it as well, right? So basically try and build an MVP. MVP is basically, you should read online, but a minimum viable product. And say do 5 classes. So if you want to, by the way, guys, learn about startups, obviously we can't get in depth in a 1 hour session, but go through Y Combinator videos on YouTube on how to start a startup. There are a series of 10 to 15 videos. If you watch them, you will be set to start up. You will not need any other guidance. Any other questions, Akash or Augustin, or should we wrap up?
so I don't see any new questions coming up from anyone in specific. So I think we can end this session. What maybe I would do is, I'll be adding in my number. If any of you have a specific topic in which you are interested to have a session on, and if we feel that it's something that would bring in a huge number of people and there is a lot of interest, we would love to take it. So you can contact me or even Harry for that matter if you are interested to take to have a session on a particular topic. So I'm sharing my number.
So there's another question, Akash, coming up. Is it really necessary to have a concrete objective of growing in a particular domain while joining an internship, or simply joining one and growing in various fields offered is better? So I think that's a good question. JP, that's a good question, right? So because beforehand I mentioned that you should ideally know what you want to learn and get into an internship, but that is also one reason why you want to get into an internship, right? So I think you should have a specific agenda कि चलो मैं marketing सीख जाऊंगा, but that I will learn marketing when I enter in. But once you enter, Augustine, if you can mute yourself, please. So once I enter into an internship, I would want not just to do marketing, but also understand other fields. So I think that is an important angle, as JP mentioned, that once you join an internship, you should definitely try and learn about all functions that company is doing, but probably focus on one more than the other, so that you can really learn in depth about something. And it depends a lot on what stage of a startup or a company you're joining in. Early stage companies would tend to give you more work across different domains, but the later the companies, they will have departmentalized everything, right? They would have a marketing department, a finance, a HR, so different functions, basically, not really departments I would like to call them, but through these functions. So you will intern in one of the functions, but definitely try to get context around all.
Harry, we are actually getting another question. Is econometrics a relevant skill right now?
I don't see that question. I can see there are some internships which take money and provide some training. No, of course not, right? Like, if people are taking money to provide an internship, that's not really an internship. That's more like a course, which is, of course, being sold as an internship. So, very frankly, don't take those up unless you feel that the course is really adding a lot of value. Otherwise, you can do free courses. By the way, maybe we can get into a bit specific. So I'll recommend some websites. Of course, it depends a lot into what type of courses. Like I recommended. So JP, why are you posting the same question again and again? So anyway, so the Coursera, Udemy, there are tons of websites out there for free courses. Like you can, scroll through a course, audit the course, and then if you choose to get a certificate, you pay. But very frankly, I wouldn't suggest you to do that. As long as you've learned from the course, you can mention it in your certificate, in your CV. As long as you can talk about it, you need not have a certificate and pay for that. So I think, yeah, so do courses over YouTube. First Google things up, right? Medium.com, for example, is a good place to learn a lot. You can find articles there by credible people, basically. So sorry, Akash, you were talking about economics?
Yeah, I don't know if you're able to see that particular question.
Yeah, I can see. Sorry, I missed it. Is econometrics a relevant skill right now? So I think econometrics is what, like economics and the stats, right? Like mix of that, right? So obviously this is a good skill, right? Because anytime I think so if you are if you are interested in economics, right, there are a lot of research that you can get into, right? Like masters, post your college and stuff. I think that's more like a research field, something that I'm not the best person to answer about, but definitely, like, I think it has a huge scope, right? And along with statistics, what is happening is a lot of machine learning is being applied, even to these fields. Machine learning is applied to these fields in order to predict trends of future, right? So I would strongly suggest, if you guys are from commerce background, even if you are from non-tech background, you can pick up some coding skills, right? Even if it is as basic as SQL and stuff like that. That's very important. But other than that, I think you should master your Excel and PowerPoint skills. I think these are the two most underrated but the most important in any job you go to. And I don't know why, but JP is asking the same question again, and we've taken it.
Harry, I'm not able to see it multiple times actually.
Okay.
I think it's an issue, but
No worries. Yeah.
So
Any other
I think
questions there? So Akash, your voice broke. So I think we have broadly covered everything from the courses to the internships to what else. Like I don't think a lot of people from third year asked any questions related to jobs, but broadly I covered the skill sets that are required and the research paper thing, right? Like you can write research papers under professors of different universities. So you can always, just like I mentioned, you can write into people for internships, you can write into professors for research papers, and you should look up sites like UTHOP I suggested for international conferences, and keep attending online events that you think are valuable. Not every event, but only event that you are interested in. And then we have individual communities that we are building to help students, because I saw a lot of demand there. So Augustine can help you regarding that later, or Akash. Cool, Akash. Then I think all questions have been
So I
taken.
think we have covered everything. Harry, and you had also given a final summary kind of thing. I hope everyone here has got a good learning from this session, and we are having many such sessions, and you should come to our our groups that we have, the communities that we have built, and you can, as I've already mentioned my number, if you have any doubts, you can always come back to me, and I can connect you with the right person on that.
Awesome. I think the time is
so
also
much,
elapsed.
Harry.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you
Akash.
so much,
Thank you,
Harry.
everyone.
Have a nice day. Bye bye.